Hello, my name is Jeff. I'm from Wisconsin. I just wanted to give just to make a video of what it's like to be on an expedition with Dr. Greer. The expeditions are typically limited to 25 to 30 people. There are various places where these take place. He mixes it up pretty good, usually a couple a year. The one I'm going to be talking about first is my first one. It was in Yucca Valley, 2015, in April. It was quite cool at night there. But I'm not affiliated with Serious Disclosure or Dr. Greer. This isn't my own doing. Partially because of the lack of people doing this. I haven't seen too many on YouTube doing this. There was one a while back that I saw. I'm not sure if it's still on, where a doctor was talking about his experience. And from that, I was really puzzled. He did. I think it was an hour-long video. He talked about it. And, he had one small experience of an auditory experience he had, which to me would be a little disappointing if that's the only thing that happened. Now, I know everybody has their different experiences. Everybody has their different levels of meditation and experiences with the awareness of consciousness. So, there's going to be a variety of experience. My first one, I was paired up with, since we have a buddy system there, because we're out in the desert at night. We have a buddy system so we can keep track of each other. This buddy I had, I didn't know. I met at the expedition. He had an experience during one of the first main meditation. It was led by Dr. Greer. Where we were guided to go out in space and see what we can find. So we sent our consciousness out in space, and what this fellow found was that he was interacting with other beings out there. Now, listening to his story was very interesting. He was deep into a trance. He was actually shaking and mumbling, which to me was a little unusual. I haven't experienced that with anyone before. I haven't gone that deep into a trance myself, so that I'm aware. But anyways, so he told a story about that, and he says these small entities that were green came back with him, and they were circling around his shoulders. Now, he was, after this experience, he was quite affected physically, and mentally he was affected. But by the time the night ended, I asked when we got to our house if those entities were still flying around his shoulders, and he said they were. So I thought, well, if there's a time to capture something on film, this would be it. So we took some pictures. We were in the kitchen of the house. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, so it's dark, lit by a couple kitchen lights, ambient yellow light, very poor lighting for any photography. So, first couple pictures I used flash, didn't really pick up anything. I think, and what I've discovered is that with these entities, they're very subtle, these energies. Using flash is just going to wash it out. So I took some pictures without flash, and sure enough, we didn't see it right away in the little 2-inch screen on the camera that night. But later, when we downloaded the pictures, there it was, a green entity, just like he said. It was... to me, that's kind of mind-blowing, but for him, I think it was more mind-blowing because it's vindicated. Not that he needed vindication of this event that he had, this experience. He didn't, he wasn't asking for that wasn't the purpose to take pictures. The purpose for me it was my idea to take the pictures just to see if something came up on film. Now, so I'll post that picture here on the video. So that was the first night. Now, we all saw some things and we took some pictures, and every night during the break time, he invited me one night to go down into this riverbed, excuse me, which was about 50 yards away, and walk down there because he heard and could see things there. Now, remind you, we're out in the desert at night. Could be rabbits, could be they have coyotes out there. There's probably a few lynx. They're not so sure about lynx, but bobcats, various animals out there. Usually, I'm not too afraid of any of those because they would run at the sight of us normally. Animals don't want to be pestered by humans. So anyways, we walked down there, and sure enough, there was some very strange things going on down there. I'm not going to get into that at this time, but I'm going to focus more on things that don't take so long to describe. This next one will take long enough. And that would be what happened out in Joshua Tree Park. During the first break, there was a few people that were having a conversation through the electronics with some beings that were there. Now, the beings were quite shy, and of course you can't see them. So, at that time I was watching it, and I wasn't participating with them, but I was watching. And it was going on for quite, the whole length of the break, 20 minutes. But they would, what we have for electronics are a tri-field meter, a radar detector, and a lightning detector. So they were having this interaction mostly I think through the radar detector. I could be wrong, could have been the tri-field meter, but it wasn't the lightning detector so much. So, just to verify what was going on there, a lot of times the person that was leading would ask the entities if this is really happening, if can you make this detector go off 3 times, beep, or 6 times. And sure enough, it beeped 6 times, and this was done repeatedly. Now, these meters just don't beep for any reason. Now, assuming, we're out in the middle of a desert, the only possible radar that could be out there would be from aircraft, for ground detecting radar, that type of thing, which I think, that's quite complicated. I'm not an expert on frequencies and things used for radar. But there's not that many aircraft flying anywhere near there. And certainly, it's not going to beep and cause a radar detector to beep 6 times when it's asked. Or 8 times, and it varied. To me, that's incredible. It's incredible that you would get that kind of signals with these beings. And he reported that the beings were about 2 foot, maybe half a meter high, 2 of them, and the third one was taller, probably a meter high, about 3 foot, 3.5 foot tall. So this went on. Meanwhile, when the group came back, they were kind of doing their own thing yet, and then some lights came over. Somebody told me there's 4 things going out. It looked like 4 satellites, actually. Now, but they're really bright. They're brighter than any planet and brighter than any satellite I've seen, including the International Space Station. So I get out my binoculars, and it's a 10 power binocular, and I'm looking at them. Now, if I look at the International Space Station with the 10 power binoculars, the dot is a little bit bigger. The light from it that's reflecting is a little bit bigger than with the naked eye. When I'm looking at these, it was the strangest thing, because here there's 4 exactly the same round discs that are orange colored. They look translucent orange. They were, I would guess, 20 times the size of the International Space Station while looking through these 10 power binoculars. So like I say, they're all exactly the same. And I'm a skeptic too. I've never seen anything like this. These were not satellites. They were huge round discs, as I thought at the time. So these things are going over. One of them fades out just before it gets over us, or just while it was over the top of us. One faded out. So now there's 3. Now we had 2 pairs flying in formation. Now we have 1 pair still in formation. The third one is coming across its path diagonally. Still look the same. They're not changing their appearance. The videographer started videotaping, and that's on YouTube. I'll put the link for sure in here. I'm not sure if I can edit that in, a portion of that. But the video shows 3 white lights. It does not show that they're like big orange discs. I could only see that with the binoculars. So of course the camera's just going to pick up light. Now like I say, they're bigger than any satellite. Suddenly a white or a golden light lights up on a hill. Now Dr. Greer thought this light was 2 miles away, and it's really hard to tell. But Dr. Greer thought the light was 2 miles away. It was far away, there's no doubt. It was very, very bright. We did the research on this the next day. I started doing the research the next day on it, anonymously. But so getting back to the experience, so this light lights up. There's a fellow next to me who I did not know, and he says, "Hey Jeff, you should take a picture of that, or start taking pictures of that." And I thought, okay, I'll take pictures. So what I have is a camera that has image stabilization, has a lock-on feature, autofocus, that has a setting that's perfect for this kind of thing. But I got to remind you that these are extremely bad conditions for taking photographs. Everything's bad about this. I'm not using a tripod. It's at night. The distance is an incredible distance. So I don't expect to get anything. Okay, so I start taking pictures, and I get 3, possibly 4 pictures that turn out good, where it's in focus, which is pretty cool, because if you get anything under those conditions, you're lucky. A reference, I'm not sure if it's 600 millimeter at that point or if it's 1200 millimeter. I'd have to look it up. But it's max zoom for that setting of the camera. And now the light is there's also like a 3-foot high, it's at least a 3-foot diameter light, and there's a 3-foot high wall that goes from the light out to about 10 foot. At the end of the wall, there's something standing there, and the head is formed. It has something on top of its head. Its eyes are formed. Its body is tube-shaped. There's no limbs yet. What I surmise from that picture is that it was a being that was transforming. It wasn't fully formed yet, because it also looks like there's bubbles on the body. So that's a very interesting picture. 20 seconds later, I get another shot, and this one turned out too. So now it shows the being fully formed. It had walked forward a couple steps, and made a 90-degree turn and is facing the light. Videographer videographed the whole thing. But my buddy who was working with the beings and said there's three, that was over a mile away, he said that those three beings were up there. So we had a hard time distilling that light. It was so intense. I had to have a professional take a look at it. And most professionals and people I've asked to take a look at these pictures, they don't give it the time of day because there's too much noise in them. Okay, so when you look at this picture, it's a huge poster size, could be a whole huge poster size picture. Of course, it would all be black except for the light, which is a little, a few millimeters or a few centimeters, maybe an inch or two. This light and wall, be this little dot basically on this big poster. So when you focus in there, there's a lot of noise naturally, but nevertheless, it does show stuff. And so when we distill this light down, of course, the being that's standing there is mostly blacked out. Then there's two small beings in that light. Now, you could see on the original picture that it looked like there's something blocking the light in there, and we thought originally that was vegetation, but after researching it, no, there's no vegetation there. And sure enough, there's two beings in that picture. That is, that turned out to be pretty cool. And at the time, when I took those pictures, I showed them to Dr. Greer. I showed the one where the being was transforming, and he asked what that was. I said, I have no idea. So this being that got captured in this picture has something on its head, which I guess isn't that unusual. Other people have reported the same things. It didn't look, other than the big eyes, it didn't look like a gray at all. Not your stereotypical ET. So I don't know. That's all I know about it. Really, that's what happened. Of course, we didn't know what was going up on the hill until the pictures were developed. Now, like I say, they have probably a 30-minute video of that light and what was going on that hill. And the hill actually, that point actually turned out to be 1.8 kilometers, or about 1.1 mile away. And we have since checked out that site, and there is some very anomalous readings, magnetic and electronic, compared to the ambient readings. There's a certain rock on that hill and that's where the light lit up, where we got these readings, and even a year later. So that experience was quite profound. It was a very profound experience. And, we got a lot of other things that happened. I got a lot of pictures of the small little grape-sized lights and them moving too. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to close this one out.